Hey everyone, I'm Bev, Big Fuzzy Works Laser Engraving. Today we're going to create this 2-layer candy cane ornament. I'll walk us through the steps slowly, and then at the end I'll summarize, and I have a handy dandy chart that will lay out each of the steps so you can pause and take your time following along. Let's get right to it. I'm going to start on the front piece. Now I made this out of birch plywood and painted it white. You could use whatever color you want. You could use acrylic, anything you like. And I'm going to start by just making a simple rectangle. I'm in inches. If you're not in inches, you can click here to switch from inches to millimeters. I'm going to draw a basic rectangle. I'm going to put it on the tool layer because it's just going to be my guide. The first step is actually drawing a center line that will create the shape of our candy cane. Now I'd like my shape to be roughly, I'm going to go with 1.5 inch by 3. So I'll unlock it so that it's not scaling together. It'll be 1.5 inch by 3 inch. Now I'm going to begin drawing my shape. There's multiple ways you can do this, but this is what works best for me, so I'm going to just rough out, I think to about there. Now you'll see my line immediately went to the tool layer. I'm going to grab it just by clicking and move it to a cut layer, and I'll continue with my drawing. So that was just a straight line. Now, there's multiple ways you could draw this arc. You could put a circle in and cut it, but I'm going to use the line tool. So I'm going to use a line, and in order to get a nice even arc, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click straight across to the other side. By holding shift, it will constrain it to my angle. You'll see it'll go in a 45 as you draw it around. So holding shift will get you a straight line, and I'll just click it over there. Now the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to use the node editor to bring that out. Another feature of the line is that you can actually create your own arc, and it works fantastic if you're doing maybe more organic shapes. If you click and drag out and then release, you will get an arc. Now if you're looking to have some kind of flourish or something like that, it's a good way to do it. And you might be having trouble with your lines at times because you hold your mouse key just a little too long and it turns it into arc mode or spline mode or whatever a person might want to call it. It's great for organic features, but if you just want a straight line, it's just a quick click, drag it across, and a second quick click. Escape gets you out of that. We're going to get rid of that. But that's how you use the line feature in two different ways. We're going to use this tool right here, which again is Node Editor. We're clicking on it. We're clicking on the line we want to modify, which is the straight across. Now, I'm going to try to grab roughly in the center. You can see there's little marks that will change to find where you are. And if I drag straight up, it'll begin bringing that arc up. And I'm going to bring it right to the middle of my guideline there. In order to get the nice shape, I just grab my little grip here and drag it out so that it's nice and straight. Again, these are, eyeballing is all right. If you're very specific, there's probably ways to make it more exact. The shift keys and things hold things in constrained positions. I'd like to have them about the same height, so I will just drag it up. It gives me or actually in this case I'll drag it down and try to get the top of my candy cane within my guideline rectangle. Perfect. So from there I can see that I haven't connected my two lines because they should be joined together. So another way to manage that is I will go back to my edit mode, zoom in really close to the ends of my two lines. I'll just actually click my line and bring it up, connect it to there. If they're not connecting, meaning if this doesn't turn green, that will tell you your lines are connected. You can select that line, select your arc as well, and then go up to edit and auto join the shapes. Alt J also does that. Now when you go to your node editor, it should have all of your nodes and your line is connected. You don't have to do that, but it makes it a lot easier if your piece is one object. Now we're going to offset that object. We can actually do away with our guide rectangle now. We're going to offset it to get this outer shape. So we select our shape, we hit offset. In this case, I think I'm going to go with 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to delete the original object and OK. So that's my shape. Next step, well actually, first thing I'm going to do is make a copy of that, because this is a shape I'm going to use over here. So I'll just Control D to duplicate it, hold Shift and drag it over here. Now I'll save that for later to add this tab to. For this one, we come back, we're going to offset inwards enough to get my inner shape. So I'm going to try 0.125, and this time I don't want to delete my original object, and I'll say OK. Now that we have our candy cane shape, we're going to create a rectangle that is going to become these cutout pieces. So I'll begin by just creating a simple rectangle. I'm going to put it on a fill layer because it'll make it easier to see for now. And I'm going to make it just a little bit wider than my actual candy cane shape. Maybe something like this. There are multiple ways you could do this. You could create a simple rectangle and just rotate it. You could draw yourself a grid and create what I'm going to show you. But what I'm going to show you is how to warp it. So warp is a great tool. It's on the Tools tab. It's under Warp Selection 4. It creates 4 grid points on your piece on the corners. Deform Selection creates 16 grid points and allows you to move each grid point and manipulate your object using those points. So starting with the Warp Selection 4 point, we're going to just grab a corner. If I pull it up and move it around, you can see that it moves anywhere you'd like it to go. It'll create funky and interesting shapes and allows you to be a little controlled. It's almost as if it puts a mesh over top of your object and allows you to pull it and push it in different ways. If I hold the Shift key, it creates a mirror line in the center, a vertical mirror line, allowing you to manipulate both sides. If I hold the Alt key, it does the same in a horizontal line so that the lower part will mirror the upper. In this case, I'm not going to mirror it all. I'm just going to drag each corner piece up a tiny bit to get that angle that I'm looking for. Again, I'm just eyeballing. If I was wanting to be more exact, I would create a grid, or I would work off of the grid lines that are in Lightburn. Like that's pretty good. Possibly, I'm trying to keep my thickness consistent. I don't know the way to grab multiple grid points, if there is a way. But this is what we're going to do for now. I'm going to bring this up over my piece now. It's a little bit wide. I'm going to bring it down a bit. From here, I'm going to just array this rectangle up. And all I'm doing is trying to create a nice looking pattern, consistent kind of between the pieces. So I'm going to click on our array button, and we're going to use rows. Go up 1, 2, 3. I think 5 will be good, but obviously they're far too close together. So let's bring them a little further apart there. Now, obviously my piece is looking a little bit different than that. What I want to pay attention to is things like how big of a space I'm going to have here. I'd like to have a little more meat there. And I feel like this is pretty good. So the black pieces are going to be cut out, and these are the lines that are going to be left. So I have a nice piece here, a nice piece here, and a nice piece down here. I think this should look pretty good. So I'm going to say okay. Now I'm going to grab these black lines or black stripe pieces, and I'm going to group them with Control G. There's also arrange and group on the toolbar, or on the pull down menu, sorry. The reason I'm grouping them is because we're going to Boolean this, which means we're going to combine them with this piece down here to create the shapes that we want. And if I don't group them together, it wants to do each one individually. So I'm going to grab my stripes, then I'm going to grab my inner piece, and I'm going to actually use this button here, the Boolean intersection. It tells you, if you hover over them, which piece needs to be selected first or last. In this case, it shouldn't really matter, but it's always good to go whichever piece it tells you to, A and B. So we hit that and we get our shape. Now I'm going to move those to my cut line because I want to be able to cut them out. And then I'm going to select all my pieces and go Control G again and group them. And that is my top piece of my 2-layer ornament. So now we'll move on to the lower piece, which is already mostly created. We just need to make a tab. So a tab, super easy. We're going to create a circle. We'll hold the Shift key to get our uniform size. Now, again, we could be very exacting and say we want to have this in exact size. We'll just measure up here. Let's say we want 1/4 inch. So we change that to 0.25. Let's hit lock first though. Make sure that we're doing both sides. 1/4 inch circle. Now I'm just going to offset that to get our outer part of our tab. I think 0.125 looks fine. So we'll leave it at that, and we don't want to delete our original object. We want outward, and we'll say OK. Now I'm going to create a small small square. I'm going to hover over till I get my midpoint of my circle. I'm going to hold Shift and bring it over there as well. Wants to be above. There we go. I'm going to combine my square with my circle, and I'm just going to weld the two, which is right here. Another Boolean, or Control W also does it. And I'm going to take my two pieces, Control G, and group them just for ease so I don't lose them. I'm going to take this over to my candy cane. Just going to line it up at the very top, and then I'm going to combine all of these in the same manner. I'm going to go weld, and that's it. Our two pieces are created. We can cut these out, and in my case I cut this out of acrylic, and the upper piece I cut out of a white birch that I painted white, and then I just glued them together. And That's as simple as it gets. That is it. Control G to group those two things. All of this should be grouped. And that's it. That's your candy cane. Now, if you're someone like me who likes to have a handy dandy chart of steps, I've done that. So over here is our handy dandy chart. And we'll go through it again very quickly. Step 1, we draw a rectangle and we draw our shape. We used a line and node editor to draw that arc up, but you can use a circle and cut it off or whatever you choose. Then we offset that line with round on the ends, and from there we take that shape and offset it inward to get our inner piece. This one here we make a copy of, or the outer shape we make a copy of in order to keep it for the back piece. A rectangle, then we warp the rectangle, align them to our piece, and array them to get the shape that we want. Group the stripes, and then Boolean cut from the inner shape, and then move them to a cut layer. Then creating the tab, we do a circle, we offset, and we create a rectangle or a square to create the bottom of the tab. Now we have our tab, we align it with our candy cane, and we Boolean union the tab with the candy cane, and our pieces are made. I hope that's helped. I hope that you've learned something. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll come back again. Take care.